Hey everybody, and welcome back to Shark Nation. We have some special guests today here. Jason and I are super pumped to have Alec and Shannon here from Cheplak Wellness. How's it going today?
Good, man. We didn't gain 15 pounds over Christmas, so I'd say we're doing all right. We're
Right?
doing okay, man.
You're
How
doing
are you?
better than most. Yeah,
This is
that's
what I
the
say. Sorry to interrupt. This is what I say.
no.
Damage control is a lost art and science, baby. If you could just maintain through the holidays, you're crushing it. So,
Yeah, it's a big one, and I actually went through this. We had Thanksgiving prior, and that's the harder one for me because I love Thanksgiving food. Like that's my food. But it's funny, following a lot of what you guys have put out there. I let go for those 2 3 day period, and I came back and I had actually had a good maintenance level there. Like it wasn't I actually put it on the MyFitnessPal app after the holiday and realized that I was actually probably where I should be maintenance wise. So when you get those habits, and you start to come out, they just stick with you. It's just about building a habit. But it's a tough season to make it through. So but we're still here, right?
we made it,
Yeah,
man. We made it.
it's
And
done.
we always hint at, there's a fun fact. It's like 50 to 90% of annual weight gain is in the final 6 weeks of the year.
Mhm.
And so really like maintenance through that season is it's a skill set to develop. And once you make it through those 6 weeks, you could do anything. And so it really helps people long term. But again, I hope everyone just enjoyed their holidays, and not every day is about losing weight, right?
Right.
No, that's it. It's about feeling right. And I think well that's the thing is like if you do start to get this stuff right, if you get your health and fitness in the right spot and you get feeling good, now all of a sudden McDonald's like you don't even want it, you don't want alcohol again. You don't want those things. And I've definitely experienced that. Like, you go back and think it will be what it was before and it's just it doesn't replace that newfound um just I don't know what it is, right? It's like that you got control of things. So I guess maybe well, that's good. Let's go there. So, like, you guys have been in the health and fitness space for even longer than the Cheplak Wellness Company. So,
Mhm.
what inspired you to start this version of your health and fitness journey?
Well, I want to address what you said and then go right to your question. I don't want to ever overlook something important that you said. I believe people will get some value from this, actually.
Sweet.
Um, the thing you said about McDonald's, where I'm going to go first.
Okay.
Um, the thing I'm going to say about that is it's an identity shift. That's what it is. You no longer identify with those things. And I got a text from a client today, and we're always coming from a place of observation without judgment. And we have some clients who are losing weight through the holidays, some clients who are maintaining, some who gained weight and disappeared. And it's okay, no judgment. But this client said to us, I disappeared these last few days. As you would understand, you fitness people. And I don't take offense, and I don't judge them, and they not judge them. It's interesting how you're considered fitness people
Mhm.
instead of just people, right? And so not only does it shift your identity, but it also shifts how other people identify you.
Mhm.
Because apparently we're fitness people. I had no idea. I just thought I was a pretty decent, sober dad and a pretty good husband to my wife, good son and a good friend. And apparently I'm fitness people. And so what you were saying is true. The more you do these things, the less you have desires for those past habits, and you identify differently, and other people identify you different too.
And I also think it's interesting because of what we do. People don't realize that we've come from the place that everyone else came from at one point, and that we've worked for years on these habits and these behaviors. And that's why we can coach people through it, is because we didn't come out of the womb like fitness
Right.
people, It's been years of conscious efforts and understanding, what it's like to go through the holidays, and that's why we can talk on it. Or Alec being sober, and that's why he can talk on it, because he's been through all of these things, and I've been through these things that everyone else has been through. I used to love McDonald's. Was 24 hours when I was in college. Like, I loved McDonald's, but now you're just going back to that after you kind of change your lifestyle. And then, like, when they say fitness people, now that's our identity. I have no urge to do those things now. One, and two, after it's almost like train yourself to eat these different foods. When you taste those foods again, they don't taste the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
And I do want to get to your question, but I'm still loving this one,
No,
dude.
stay there.
I
I like it. I
love this
like it.
one. Oftentimes things have to get worse before they get better. And usually these things that you see people have strengths in, or you see that's different about them, is because they stubbed their toe one too many times and decided they don't want to stub their toe again on a small theoretical sense. And the McDonald's specifically for me, get this funny story. No one knows this.
I know this.
I got food poisoning from McDonald's the night I was born.
What?
In the hospital room, in the hospital.
Wow.
So I have never ate McDonald's again since then. So if you've ever had food poisoning, you know the pain. And so yeah, I do not eat McDonald's. Crazy story. People don't realize.
I had food poisoning once. It was like the worst experience. But it's funny because I saw Shannon's body language when you first mentioned McDonald's, and she did one of these like over her lips, and it's like one of those subtle signs like, yeah, not to eat it, not to, yeah, like I said, after you've been stung by the bee, it's like,
yeah.
I feel like, let's take a step back and just, for people that don't know you, let's talk a little bit about your business, what you guys do for people, and kind of just give everybody just like a little intro on your company.
Okay, yeah. So this company, Cheplak Wellness, is a legacy company that my father, my wife, and I partnered in after my wife and I already had like 20 plus years experience in health and fitness space. And so the reason I say it's a legacy company is because if you know my father and his journey through sobriety, that's his tale to tell. I'm not going to tell his story for him. But that was an interesting life path until his later years in life. And then for me, until I was a young adult and even into adulthood, something I struggled with too. And we finally found our sobriety now long-term, both of us, through health and fitness. And so that's why I say it's a legacy brand. You know, my 8-year-old son now has a sober father. And so health and fitness for me, that's what it's about. You know, it was our saving grace. It was our exit. It was our light of hope. And it gave us an opportunity to basically replace habits that could potentially ruin your life with habits that could potentially improve your life. And so that's where it all started. Shannon has extensive background history. What got you? You've been an athlete most of your life, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been an athlete since I was like 4 years old. So but then I went to college. I was an athlete all through high school and played multiple sports, played volleyball in college. Then after college, started doing competitive mountain bike racing. And I would say like during college, because I actually switched from a college that had sports to an art school. So then it was no more sports. So through those years where I didn't have that outlet, that's when I started to gain a little weight. I started to eat a little worse. But after college, then I began doing like competitive mountain bike racing and things like that. And then when I was in my 30s, I started competitive bikini competitions. So when I did that, then I decided that that's the path I wanted to take in my life, was coaching people in health and fitness, especially in my 30s when it became super important to do that. So I don't have quite the same story as Alec. We always talk about, I was like, we grew up really different. Because every summer I was at a camp doing sport, traveling sports, things like that. So it's a great dynamic that we have though, in contrast from that, because he has his struggles that he went through, but also I had different ones that I went through that people can relate to. So it kind of like completes that picture for people because we've kind of together been through most of it.
Well, it's such a beautiful partnership. And really, this is why, before we get to like what the business functionality is it's like, what's the purpose behind it and how do we get here is so much more important, because how are you going to do something for 10, 20, 30, 40 years? Right. And so your business, I believe, should be something that you could do for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And so we'll go deeper on us and why we will do it, why we are willing and have the endurance to keep going. She has that athletic history. She was a competitor. One thing that most people don't realize about Shannon is she was actually high-level corporate leader in business, up the corporate ladder for over a decade of her life, managing over 200 employees and staff. They would fly her out to different countries and different hotels that needed revamping. Like basically, it's a mess. You send Shannon to clean it up. And so that was her role. And so it's been a beautiful, mind you, because people are, oh, she's a competitor, she won't get it. she was managing over 200 employees and running in the corporate ladder while also competing in bikini competitions. So high level corporate and high level as an athlete. So it's been a massive blessing partnering with her. That's part of the thing of why this company has done well and why our clients get such a great experience is because of who Shannon is and her experience. And then I really just stayed on. My career path was fitness for so long, where she was pursuing it as lifestyle while pursuing a corporate career. And then I was pursuing fitness, trying to figure out how to make that thing my career. And so it just worked out really well. Then how I got into it, obviously, was a sobriety thing. I started competing. Eventually, I realized I was like 19 years old with a really good physique. Looked like a Greek statue, and I had all these $5 trophies, but I had nothing else going for me in life. And I realized that like rent's due on the 1st, and there's a phone bill, and you need to buy a car, and like, oh, now 21, got a kid on the way, and like all of a sudden there's more to life than just having the body. And so I figured, well, you know, people are like, how do I look like you? How'd you do it? I might as well just be a trainer. People already asked me to train them. So I got certified. I went through formal education. I have experience on corporate gym floors as an employed trainer. I have experience in independent gym floors, training clients where you pay a lease or a rent. So a different model. The corporate is a percentage of profits. And then the other model is you pay a flat rate and then you keep your profits. And then I also taught in a formal classroom setting. Not a lot of people know this one. I was the personal fitness training instructor at Advanced Training Institute. It is a $15,000 tuition for a trade school that lasts 10 months. It is 3 to 4 hours in a classroom setting where you dive into the textbook, the science, the quizzes, and the classwork. Then there is 1 to 2 hours in a full-size gym on campus where I take the exact science we learned that day and I take our students to go apply it on the gym floor with real life experience so that by the time they graduate, they can become master certified trainers, go on to gym floors and be at the highest level in their field. And I was the teacher in that classroom. So there's definitely levels to it. And I was coaching coaches during that phase of my life. So that was a lot of experience, right?
I was gonna say, you know what's so interesting about that? I was reading and listening to a podcast on Steve Jobs, and he would love you, Shannon, because he said the best employees ever came from liberal arts schools. And he said that because they have the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain, and were great corporate leaders and could think outside the box. So that's super interesting, and it's cool to see your journey, Alec, too, with being a teacher. Now I know why you speak so well on stage. You know, we've seen you at the Maverick events, so it's like putting 2 and 2 together. So, no, super interesting.
Well,
Yeah, I
I'll
appreciate
really sorry, I'll really rewind. I wanted to pull one thing out you said because it made an impact on me personally. Like when you said it before, and then obviously hearing it again, it reminded me. But you know, the sobriety thing, when you said about your son having a sober father, and the visualization that I got of all the nights where at the end of the night it's like, are you really the best, you know, version of yourself right then, or is that a great representation of you, you know? And it made me think, you know, as at that time my daughter was probably about 8.5, 9, I think, and whenever that really started for me. And you know, is that what you know I want her to see? And for me personally, you know, not that everybody has to go sober, but for me personally, that was a huge impact for me. Like, you know, seeing it through that lens, like, wow, what does that look like from their perspective? So just wanted to bring that up. I know you mentioned that like way in the beginning, but I noted it down here because like that was huge. That's a big one.
I get the chills. It is huge because he has something I didn't have, right? Like he'll
Same.
never have the contrast of that. And I'm grateful for it. I love my dad. We are like best friends now, closest we've ever been in our lives. We're in business together. Like this is a childhood dream I'm living by having a friendship partnership. This is great. But my son gets to have a different story. And that's been the biggest pivotal moment where I realize, okay, this really is impactful, right?
Nice.
That's what it's about. Like that's awesome. Wow. So yeah. There's so much. I'm so
I was going
excited.
to say, let's talk about this. Let's talk about that family dynamic, right? So working together, husband and wife.
Bro.
Two-part question, right? One, how do you turn it off and separate the the business from relationship to, and the beautiful part of your business is you have the woman's perspective and the male's perspective. Because I hear, from my wife, or I'll just call her. I hear from other people, not my wife. She didn't say this, but I can't do this because I'm a woman and this is different, or So I'm like, well, I can't explain that. So that's the nice part of your business dynamic is, okay, well, now you have the voice for the female audience, and you have the voice for the male, and you can kind of work together on that. So, two-part question: how do you balance the home life balance and the work business balance?
Well, first we met at the gym, both working. So it was already established what we did and what our path was, and that we were on the same mission. So that was something we talk about a lot, how it's so important that your partner is on the same mission as you, so they don't derail the mission. So we met with the same focus. So it was just kind of implied that this is what we were going to do. And from the moment we met, and
100%.
when we first started dating, I was like a month out from doing a competition too. So I was in that mode. He had coached people for years. I had done it for years. So there wasn't ever any question about that. Like, we were like, we're going to do this together now. And we kind of just meshed it together immediately with our clients that we were currently training, and even online clients. And like, we started doing business things immediately. So, and it's interesting because you say, like, okay, how do we work together 24 hours a day. There's not an off switch to it, So it's just taken time to really understand. It's like the fast track to understand your partner and like what makes them tick and things like that. Because it's never like, okay, because we don't turn our phones off. We don't stop working. And we have something that we do with our clients. It's like, if our eyes are open, we're coaching you and responding if you need it, so we've just kind of established that, especially with this business that is, it's almost 2 years into Cheplak Wellness.
20 months.
Yeah, it's 20 months.
20 months ago, we launched this company.
Into this business. And it's really, we just kind of have this same focus on it. I mean, obviously you have relationship things that happen. Sure. Like, he tells me something and I'm like, get away from me. Like, but like, I feel like going through this business fully together has actually made us better in our relationship. Because they always tell you, like, the things will come out. This is where things will come out.
It's a massive mirror to look in every day.
Yeah, this is where if you have any types of struggles in your relationship, this is where it will come out. And I feel like it's made us stronger and grown, closer together even.
Yeah. So I'd love to stay on that topic. I think this has been the biggest pivotal thing for growth in our lives, in our personal lives, in our relationship, in our business, and in the experience that our clients and the people in our community get being around us. First, Shannon is an invaluable partner in my life, like priceless. Like, for her to bring the expertise and experience she had, and to bring a completely different personality than me to the table. And for us to have challenges, like, let me really unpack what we do. We met after I had coached a bunch of competitors and a bunch of my clients won, and after she had won a bunch of competitions, and she is in prep, and her way is great. And she's been coached by the #1 most winning IFBB pro bikini coach in the world. And I've been coached by one of the top men's physique coaches in the world. And basically, we've been coached by the best, and we meet. And basically, I'm stepping into a role of leadership in our relationship. And then we do a Hail Mary to have her choose to trust me to coach her instead of the #1 most winning coach in the world. Right. And so, like, before we even got into launching this company, like, you really figure out, go tell your wife or your husband, anyone watches, go home today and try to give your wife or husband fitness advice. Let me know how that goes.
Who's been doing it for how many plus years?
No, seriously.
And winning and doing well.
No, just without that. Just that is, everyone, go ask your husband or wife, start giving them advice on what to eat and how to work out.
Go look at him and be like, you need to lose.
Let me know how that goes. So that first, right? It was that. then there's the layer of experience and a little bit of, pride in your expertise that comes with it on top of that. And then it's like figuring that thing out. And the reason why this is important, it's not a bodybuilding podcast. The reason it's important is because it's what's made us able to really mesh well in business and really help people. So there's those layers. Then we do a contest season, and the first prep is rough because it's completely different from every way she's done it before. I'm like, let's try it my way, right? And there's like reluctance, and then boom, win. And then all of a sudden it's win, and just back-to-back wins. And she's like, so after she went, all right, so like, can we do it this way now? You know what I mean? And so light bulb, and she's amazing. And then I'm like tweaking things, and it's like, now we're getting rewarded for it. I think that laid a foundation for us to be able to coach people together really, really well.
Built the trust.
Yeah, well,
yes.
I also want to piggyback on that because it's almost was like a realization, because obviously we're together 24 hours a day. So in coaching people, something that we do a little different is we coach people every day. So in that realization that, because most coaches, it's a once a week check-in, a once every 2 weeks check-in, things like that in the past years. Same with how he was coached and how I was coached, because we were mentored and coached by the best coaches in the world. So in that, you find out that if you coach people every day, they do better. So if you're with them and you're a resource to them every day, because he was a resource to me every day, with me every day, it didn't take a week.
Genius.
It didn't take a week to find out if something went wrong. I woke up in the morning and immediately it's like, what did you eat yesterday? What's your weight? What are your measurements? What do you look like? You know what I mean? So in having that, that's why I did so much better, because it was everyday accountability.
And dude, I had a huge light bulb go off when you just said that. And it's literally why our service is the way it is now, and why our clients are doing so well. It's not, she didn't start winning every show because I'm a better coach than the #1 winning coach in the world. He was checking in once every 2 weeks or once a week. The industry standard for fitness coaching, go look around, is literally once a week or less check-ins. Right. And so I was with her we lived together. And so it was like impossible to lose. We just went on winning sprees. And so that's a light bulb moment. We started to apply that to our clients. We don't live with them, but you start communicating every single day. And it's like, there is no time for a problem to snowball into something that's irreversible. Like, we're able to solve a problem immediately when it comes up, and maybe even get proactive and solve it before it's a problem.
Yeah.
Now, the business side of me wants to ask a question on that. Like, how do you manage that at scale? Like,
dude, we are so far under our threshold, and maybe we're crazy. Maybe we are, but I mean, what?
I'll speak on it. Like, coming from the job I did before, where I worked, some days 16 hours a day, like in high corporate, where there was so many moving parts with, P&Ls and inventories and every single thing you could think of. I could go down the list of everything you have to do in a day. This is not hard. It's reading data. Like, it's so not, you know what I mean? And we've done it for so many years that managing that and managing people, our combined effort, our clients check in with us every single day.
Yeah. And I'll give you the practical, because that's like, I'm going to go with her first with the psychology, and then I'm going to go practical.
Yeah.
And we can go back to fitness, but I think you'll get some value from this, and a lot of listeners will too. The psychology is, I have a friend who I love and respect for him. He came from his past. He got sober. He works he has a family company with his uncle. He does HVAC. I think he made 6 figures for the first time in his life, which I love that for him. It's not just about the money, but like, he changed his life around.
Sure.
Dude is on Las Vegas roofs in the middle of the summer for like 12, 14 hours a day. And in the peak, it's like 100, 120 degree heat, lifting heavy metal. That's hard. Sending a text message, making a phone call, doing a Zoom, sending an email, posting in a Facebook group. Not hard. Not hard. My sis, like, really, can we please put in perspective how hard it is? Like, we're in leadership business. We got to lead people. Touch points and talking to people, not hard. I'm
Mhm.
just not. It's a lot. I'm in AC in my office with my beautiful wife. You guys on video. This guy's on a roof in 100-degree heat lifting
Yeah.
heavy metal. Like,
Yeah.
can we? Perspective matters.
Love
Second
it.
one, people, you see my sister in now the ICU the last 7-8 weeks. I've learned more about life and love and everything the past 7-8 weeks and what's hard and what's not hard than I have in the past 7 or 8 years. Someone's sitting, she has a lot of love and support from family and friends, but you walk by these rooms and someone's on their last leg on life support and they're alone in a hospital. That's hard,
Yeah.
right? Sending a daily text, doing team meetings on Zooms, sending out emails, like this stuff's not hard. I think people need to just have perspective, the psychology of what is actually hard. And yeah, the hardest part is like dealing, like business is simple, people are hard. So the hardest part is just dealing with relationships, but the actual activity, not hard. So that's first perspective. Now, second one is how do you actually scale it? Well, every client does a daily check-in text. It's a default format, and it gives us the data we need to solve a problem before it snowballs.
Mhm.
It really, because we structure it in a way where, like, if you train them properly and give them the tools properly, less problems are going to show up. And so those check-ins might take 90 seconds each.
Mhm.
Right. And so if we're doing it with like 80 people in a day, it's not that much,
Mhm.
what, a couple hours of work in the morning. That's one. Number two is we implemented twice a week Zoom coaching sessions for all people. So it's like a team meeting in a real estate team, and then they
Right.
get us scheduled a month in advance, and we get an invite the night before. Then number three is we put a Facebook group where all the replays immediately get uploaded in case they missed it. And then number four is we do twice a week check-in reminders. So where most coaches or leaders are going to check in once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, we're going to check in every single day. And then where most leaders or coaches are going to have an ego problem and say, I'm not going to hunt you down to be accountable, we're going to say, that's okay. I'll hunt them down. They'll hire me instead and they'll get a better result. It's okay. You don't have to. So every Wednesday, every Saturday, we send a check-in reminder email. And the email is reminder to check in, how to check in, and why you should check in.
Mhm.
And so it's like just these systems of multiple touch points where it's impossible to lose. It's like highest possible chance of success, lowest possible chance of failure. The only way you can possibly lose is if you decide, I'm not willing to do this. But it's not on our end,
Yeah. And also we've been told by our clients, you guys are like omnipresent. Like you guys are everywhere, we're all
Yeah.
over. We are posting, 7 times a day on Facebook. Like we are sending out emails almost every day that they're receiving, whether you're our client or not, because we do send out free advice emails.
100%.
You're hearing from us. So if you're not doing it at this point, it's just
I am.
right?
it's just a choice at that point. And even if it's been like a week or something like that and I haven't heard from someone, I'm going to send them a face talking video and be like, I just want to make sure you're okay. Like it's never like, where's your check-in? It's, are you okay? Is something going on right now? Like, are you dealing with something? Did something happen? I want to make sure you're okay. It's never from the point where, well, you didn't check in last week. It's always from an understanding. Tell me what's going on with you. Are you okay?
It's a never take it personal.
Never.
Because they have their own lives too.
Never take it personal.
And and I think Matt Smith said this on one of the stages, until you've said it 7 times, you haven't said it once. And so like every pet peeve you have of the people you lead, ask yourself where you've reminded them 7 times. You didn't do it in a nagging way. Every reminder was reminder to, how to, and why you should.
Yeah.
And let me know where you have a training set in place where you educated them properly and equipped them to do it properly. And it'll solve 90% of your gripes or pet peeves with the people you lead.
Yeah.
Nice. So just to kind of circle back, so a client signs up with you. We're going to track all their meals daily, right? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. Make sure you include the snacks, right? And then you're going to kind of personalize their workout or fitness routine for them to kind of get them either maybe to shred weight or put on weight or wherever they want to be in their fitness journey.
Yeah, we can go the fitness path. Sorry, I went on a tangent with the
No, it's good. I like it.
No, I think it was great. Well, then to hit on to what he's saying too, because you've had another thing that stuck out to me is, it takes what it takes. And you've said that. And for me, like, where I first think I went in a webinar with you guys and, like, I hated logging my food, so I quit in years past, right? And I think on the webinar, I don't know how you had said it, but it was something along as like, yeah, like you just have to, right? And that literally just logging changed everything. So like
Yeah.
what I mean, it's a lot of the basics in that sense. Obviously, you guys know the non-basics too. You know the wicked stuff, but like,
Mhm.
so how does like, just mastering the basics with people, how does that get them set up to get on that, get that momentum and get rolling?
Of all the formal education, I probably use 1% on a daily basis.
Mhm,
The other 99% is non-applicable and not necessary for 99% of people.
mhm,
And the reason why 99% of people either fail to ever start, give up too soon, or change paths too quickly is because they're too obsessed with the 99% of the micro.
mhm.
They're majoring in the minors.
Yeah.
And if you just get the basic foundational principles down, it solves all problems. And so like 80% of the epidemics and health crises are either completely avoidable or treatable through better nutrition and more exercise.
Does it so does it make it harder if somebody not to say like smart versus dumb, but if somebody has a little bit more, intelligence, does it make it harder because they think and do it too much?
You know what I say? People are too smart for their own good.
Yeah.
Don't overthink
It
it.
they just go down these rabbit holes that are completely unnecessary. You know what I mean? And we try to reel them back in. We're like, it's just the basics. It's just these basic standards daily. And the people who just do those basic standards daily and they're very consistent with it get the best result. It's not all the nuances, you know. I
I'm
read
gonna show
if,
you something. Keep going. Keep going.
okay.
I'm gonna pull something
I
up.
read that, it's my cortisol level at night and this and that and the other. And I'm like, but you're not even strength training or walking or controlling your food. So let's get that done first. And then once you're dialed in on the major things consistently, then we can talk about if something's still funky, we can dive deeper into it, you
Mhm.
know?
And I want to show you guys something real quick. It says observe the standards before you judge the outcomes. It's a little sneak peek actually on our webinar
Yeah.
Okay.
from tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it says observe the standards before you judge the outcomes. And what I mean by this is people will take family photos and have them taken 73 different times from 6 different angles, twisting their body 6 different ways, see the photos, they don't like how they look, and then they're depressed. People will go to the doctor's office, get bad news from a doctor, things are getting worse, they'll go home, they're depressed. People will, XYZ feel, look, or perform a certain way and get upset with the outcome. They're judging the outcome instead of observing the standards that got them there in the first place.
Right.
And so that's the pivotal moment, is when someone gets, too confused in these minor details. I always ask them to check what health and fitness standards they've sustained for the past 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the list is very slim to none.
Mm-hmm.
And so the 7 standards list, it's here. It'll be, my screen's all cracked, but it
On the
right here.
webinar tomorrow. Sign
I'll
up.
read it out loud for y'all. It's also in our free download, but it says 3 to 5 times weekly strength training. And on this, just do the basic foundational movements. 6 foundational movements are vertical and horizontal push. It's chest press and shoulder press.
Mm-hmm.
Vertical and horizontal pull. It's pull down in any type of row. And then a squat and a hip hinge movement.
Yeah.
Hip hinge could be hip thrust or deadlift. Squat could be step up lunge, squat, machine, cable, whatever, doesn't matter. These 6 foundational movements progressed over time, split up 3 to 5 times weekly. That's one standard. Second standard is 10K steps or 30 minutes of zone 2 heart rate cardio 5 times weekly. Third one is 100 calories over or under a budget. Pick an amount of food you're going to eat and just stay within 100 calories.
Mm-hmm.
Don't overcomplicate it. The fourth one is 3 to 5 daily meals prepared in advance. If you fail to prepare, you can prepare to fail. A lot of y'all just are going through your work day and hungry and then grabbing what's convenient, and what's convenient is McDonald's, instead of having the meals ready to go. And now the meals are convenient. Okay. That fit within your budget. Number 5, 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Number 6 is less alcohol or none at all. And number 7 is blood work and health checks with medical professionals 2+ times a year. Those are 7 standards that you could sustain for the rest of your life. And if you dial in these 7 standards, it will solve 80% of your health and fitness related concerns. It's less than
100%.
the information I know, and her too. It's basic.
I think I've implemented just a couple of those at a consistent level, and it's made a huge impact. And from you guys, 100%. Like, um, yeah. And there was something I wanted to touch. Oh, I wanted to touch on too with Shannon because you had mentioned about. I've seen you post a lot about like women and strength training because they don't typically want to lift weights.
Mhm.
So what I guess to somebody to women, I guess, like what is the benefits of actually strength training that they're scared of getting like ripped or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to dive in on that too.
It's one of my favorite topics because women think they're going to lift the weight and they're just going to get huge. And I've been trying for 20 years to get too big. It's just, you know what I mean? It's not something that's physically possible to get too big unless you're taking enhancements. It just doesn't work
Mhm.
that way for a woman. So I want people to think about because there's small things that you do that will help you age gracefully and be more healthy as you age. Like just grip strength is something that's so important going into your like 40s and 50s because if you can carry your weight, like if you can carry dumbbells, that's your weight, then it's more likely when you're 70 that you're going to be able to open a pickle jar. Just like small things for women that will affect them for the rest of their life. Bone density. Bone density, women get, as they go through menopause, it gets way worse. But like the osteoporosis and things like that, if weightlifting is proven to increase bone density. Muscle mass increases metabolism. So
Yep.
this is where we hear people saying, I can't eat what I did in my 20s and my 40s. Well,
Right.
because if you're not strength training, you're losing muscle mass, which therefore your metabolism is slowing down. So the same foods you ate before now make you gain weight. So there, you know what I mean? Because you have a natural amount of muscle on your body, in your 20s, and it does decrease over time. If you don't use it, you lose it. It's
Right.
very true. So it's not even about gaining a significant amount of muscle because it's really hard to put on muscle even when you're like really focused on putting on muscle. It's not easy. But it's about not losing it so that as you age that you can be healthier. It's literally the fountain of youth. And like because I don't care. I'm 42 and I do not care to tell, I don't care about that. Like I'll tell everybody. And I have women in their 50s that were like, I thought that menopause was causing all of these issues. Like I thought it was menopause. It was my diet and that I wasn't working out.
Mm.
So it can do so many things for you and help it with their sleep, brain fog, like all of these things that women suffer from, just strength training, and those aches and pains that set in are because you're not moving your body.
I would love to unpack. I think that was so valuable what she just said, dude.
Yeah.
Few parts. I saw a commercial. We were watching Yellowstone, dude.
Gosh.
I'm not really a big TV watcher, but with the Lexi thing, it's been hard to sleep at night. I'm not gonna lie, we've been a little stressed, but life is still great. Good. I'm grateful. But I'm up a little bit later than I should be because of that, But we've been watching Yellowstone, and when the commercials came on late night, and it was like a prescription drug. And look, I'm not a doctor. This ain't medical advice, but a prescription drug for women in menopause to help reduce the risk of bone fracture because bone density decreases and you can get physically injured. It's a serious problem. But then it was like, you might die though if you take this or something crazy. Right? It's like, and I was like, you know what else increases bone density? Progressive strength training.
Working out.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you can get these benefits from progressive strength training and a high protein, high fiber, high micronutrient, sufficient carbon fat diet without as many of the risks.
Yeah.
So that's one part. The second part is fitness is downhill with age. If your activity level decreases, if you're under consuming protein, if you're over consuming carbs and fats, if you're drinking alcohol, if you're going against all these 7 standards I just shared with you, your fitness will decline with age. That's a guaranteed fact. And then as you lose lean body mass, your metabolism literally will slow down. So eating the same amount of food that you ate back then will be a calorie surplus now and will make you gain weight. So the opposite is also true. Those 7 standards are the proven path to, at best, increase lean body mass and build a stronger metabolism with age, and at least to maintain lean body mass and not allow yourself to decline. We call it age gracefully, right? Let's age gracefully.
Well, I think that's where the power and the beauty of the tracking comes in. And I've transparency, I've been slacking on my tracking, and I'm definitely getting back into it like immediately now. Because, like I said, how are you supposed to know why you're not feeling good if you don't know what you're putting inside your body? How do you know where you're at with your fitness level if you don't know exactly what you've been doing? So I think tracking is like the foundation of everything that you should be doing, because it gives you the benchmark of where you need to go and where you've currently been.
100%. And I think it's very applicable in the real estate industry as a whole, because y'all are so passionate about KPIs.
It's a KPI.
Well, I mean, we track stuff. We track open rates. We track talk time on phone calls. We track outbound calls. I believe we're in the same business. We just have a different product and service.
Yeah.
So then why are we not tracking KPIs in our fitness and nutrition? I don't know why not.
It's so wild, because people, it's hard for people to see the value in coaching sometimes for their fitness and nutrition, because it's not a tangible thing. So you can't buy that good. You can't buy working out. You can't buy those things. You have to actually physically go do it. So sometimes it's hard for people, because they're like, well, what am I going to get out of this? And you're like, you're going to get out as much as you put into it, because it's such a different thing. Like you're selling a house. We're selling a dream, you know what I mean? Like you can do this.
Yeah, it's not tangible, right?
Yeah,
it's not tangible until it is.
Until they start to see
a year
results.
later, you look back and you're like, oh, dude, but like, or shorter. I mean, in 3 months, whatever. But all I'm saying is, like, you don't pay and then get a finished product. You pay and then you get a bunch of work that you have to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's really what it is.
We pump the brakes on people sometimes.
For sure. And let's talk about this, because it just came out yesterday. I saw the picture of it, like these shortcut things, like Elon Musk tweeting that, in a Santa suit, and he's taking the what's the weight loss thing, the instant weight loss, Ozempic or whatever it is. Like, I think, man, that stuff is going to have some long-term bad effects on people. Just, anytime you try to take a shortcut in life, it seems like it's never going to pay off. But I mean, when people see the shortcut, everybody wants to do the shortcut and not want to do the hard work.
Well, it's like, how many shortcuts have you tried? Like,
I'm going to challenge what you said there, actually, with love. I'm Switzerland in this war, because what you're saying is a little biased, and I could also be biased too, right? I could easily be biased. Oh, you just don't want to work out and stuff. It'd be easy for me to do that. I always wanted to take the harder route and be neutral, right? And so if we could be neutral, let's look at pros and cons, because then I think it's more digestible for everyone, and then anyone who hears it gets to make their own educated decision instead of us making the decision for them. Right? So Ozempic specifically is a life-saving medication for people who need it. Oftentimes, if there's a life-threatening level of diabetes, or if there's a food addiction that they just physically cannot stop eating unless they have something that kills their appetite. I believe Ozempic can be glorified and put on a pedestal and misused and abused by someone who wants to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks for their next vacation, right? And so when's the appropriate time and place, rather than this is a shortcut, right? Like, I think that's a little too narrow-minded, even for me as the coach to say. And I think in the broader spectrum is appropriate time and place. And so if we look at appropriate time and place, and we're looking at a lifestyle intervention, I'd start with mindset first. Then we'd go into nutrition, what you do and don't consume. Then we go into the physicals, like training, exercise, sleep, recovery. Then we go into over-the-counter supplementation, just supplement what you can't get from nutrition alone. And then number 5 is medical intervention. And sometimes Ozempic is an appropriate medical intervention, but it's in that order: mindset, nutrition, physicals, over-the-counter steps, medical. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I appreciate you clarifying that too, because like you said, you only see what you hear on the news, or, kind of the get rich quick kind of thing, but, lose weight quick and all that kind of stuff. So that's all I said. It's interesting that you put it that way.
Don't get me wrong. There's risk for everything, right?
Yeah.
There's risk for everything. So like, both the good and the bad are both there, but what's middle ground, right? 100% there's the health risk and life risk, but there's also, it's a net positive in our society it might save someone's life.
And here's the thing too, and because some people can be a little biased on this topic, but for a lot of people, food is an addiction, and it's a real, actual addiction. We've coached enough people for how many years to be able to say that that is part of an addiction, because nobody gets to 400 pounds unless it's an actual problem. You know what I mean? And it's a mental problem. So we kind of, touch on that, because some people get a little angry about, when someone is overweight, why are they doing that to themselves? Like, it's just like drugs or alcohol.
Yep.
Really, for people. Because it wouldn't, you wouldn't be to that point if it wasn't, you know?
Because you don't stumble there. You don't
Yeah.
get there on accident.
It's not an accident. You know?
It's a lot of consistent effort. And like that level of consistent effort oftentimes is an addiction.
You're committed to that.
You're real committed to that.
Yeah.
And even if I'm not saying you want to feel that way or like that was your life goal, but I have empathy coming from addiction, and now being in my sobriety, I don't look at myself better or worse than someone who's 300, 400, 500 pounds. I look at them like that was me.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I was 3, 4, or 500 pounds, but that I had drug and alcohol addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And both like it's literally an addiction, and it's something that some people make it out, some people die from it. And the few who make it out, though, can go on to be an example for others and say, hey, there is a better life on the other side of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's been a thing for me that, because you can't understand, you could imagine unless you've been in their shoes, but I can empathize because of my sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really like that for them. A lot of them don't drink. Like they're like, I don't drink, I don't do anything. My thing is food. Like they'll say that. And so it really is that deep,
Yeah. And it's always interesting to me if someone does, go on their fitness journey and change their lifestyle or something, when someone's like, wow, they're addicted to that. I'm like, good that they changed their focus and their addiction to something that will make their life last longer, So if it becomes to that point when they start seeing results from it, it changed. And it's like a hyper focus on that, which heart disease and all these things, it's like one of the leading causes of death. Like, change focus, something that's going to extend your life. I'm happy for you if you're obsessed with it,
I just saw Jelly Roll. He's on a health and fitness journey, and he said his goal for 2026 is to be on Men's Fitness. And he's like, that's it. Yeah, so I'm like, that's cool.
And honestly, like, and say that he were to lose a significant amount of weight, and he has the brand, and he has that outreach and influence. If they did that, that could be a play that could change a lot of lives.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Where
sure.
people like, he could, I could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
somebody to root for too. Everybody loves that. It's awesome.
Well,
yeah.
I'm so happy you brought up the food though as an addiction aspect, because to be honest, like going sober, if you take out the social pressure aspect of it, was probably nowhere near as hard as me breaking food habits, and I still am. Like, I definitely, like, I'll admit to be like, I wasn't so much an alcoholic. I had some problems with it, but like foodaholic, like at time, like you're stressed in at night and those things. Like, yeah, so many, and you start to notice it when you work on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's just so much I didn't realize. But like you said though, when you shift it, it's taken it a quality that we always view as negative and using it positively, right? If you use an addictive quality in something like health and fitness, like I don't think what's your line, right? I don't think anybody's life ever blew up because they went sober or even health and fitness, right? Like,
I quit drinking alcohol and my business went in the gutter, right? I quit drinking alcohol and my marriage fell apart.
Never
like,
happened.
Okay.
I got fit and healthy and my life fell apart.
Yeah.
Never happened.
No. We've definitely heard the opposite. So
Yeah.
And we were talking about it a little bit backstage, and it's like that's why we wanted to bring you guys on, because we love your journey. We love your community, where it's a community of contribution and you're sharing and just trying to give people better lives. There's not a lot of people like you out there, it's amazing. So we want to support you as best as we can and just promote what you're doing, because it's amazing.
well,
So
first,
go ahead.
thank you.
Yeah.
Let me hear you, Chad. Let me hear you.
Well, I just wanted to say, as we start to head on the out, like what's next? What are you most excited about moving into 2025?
Tomorrow we got a webinar. Like, and you know what it is? It goes back to not being so biased. And this is why I'm so excited about it. because it's really easy for people who are consistent year round to be biased, like a New Year resolution's a negative thing. Well, now my gym's going to be full and they're not going to last anyways. Being judgmental, right? I'm not going to go that way.
No.
I'm going to say, if that's the path that society is going to choose, then I'm going to meet society where they're at, and I'm going to best support them to actually make it this time.
Yep.
So I'm going to throw you a life raft.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm most excited for. Is it is the new year. There are New Year's resolutioners. We're hosting a webinar tomorrow. We got a special surprise on there for you that no one knows about yet. And I'm most excited that I get to meet y'all where you're at and help you guys highest possible chance of success,
Yes.
lowest possible chance of failure. So 6 months from now, when it's no longer just the new year, you could say, hey, I told you so. I actually pulled it off this time.
Mm-hmm. Prove us.
You know,
Prove us wrong.
not another failed attempt.
You
We want
go for
people to
it.
get fit and stay
Yeah.
fit. And so that's what I'm most excited for, is we're going with it, but we're going to support and throw y'all a life raft.
I just want everybody to get better. It's
Yeah.
you know that
Yeah.
put out so much free information, because when someone comes to me 6 months later and they're like, this one thing changed my life, I'm like, that's it. That's all it is. That's why we do this. You know.
And like I said, you have all the haters out there saying, oh, it's tourist season for the gym and blah, blah, blah. No, I can't get on this. But everybody's got to start somewhere. You know?
Yeah.
Better for just putting the sneakers on and getting out there, right? You got to start one day at a time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if it's so bad that they start and quit, well, then maybe support them so they stay. Like,
Right.
right? If that's
supportive
the
about
problem,
it.
maybe be more supportive so they feel
Make 'em
welcome,
feel
like
welcome,
they feel
yeah.
at home and part of the community, and they
Yeah.
want to keep going.
I'm like, come, join
Yeah.
us. Come join
You know,
us.
right?
I love
Yeah.
Join me in
That's
the
awesome.
gym.
So that's how I look at it.
Well, we
So
want to
with-
share your content because, like you mentioned, the newsletters are fantastic. There's tips on what to eat, different workout routines, all kinds of amazing stuff for your health and your wealth. I mean, like I said, there's a connection there between, sound body and mind and your business, right?
Mm.
So we put the link in there. I've shared it with my team. Chad shared it with his. If there's anything else that we could do to share for you, or anything else that you have coming up, or anything else, just let us know. We're here to help you grow.
No, we super appreciate it. I think my mindset has switched in this thing,
Mhm.
right? It's not what is in it for me or what do I get. It's what more can I give?
Yeah.
Like, I came here today to give.
Right.
So like the what you've already done, just throwing the link up, invite it. Like, you've done more than enough, dude.
Mhm.
I'm just grateful we get to show up and give today.
Yeah. We love
Yeah.
it.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's our mission, Chad and myself. I want to help as many people before I go as I could possibly, with anything I could possibly help with. So that's my mission, why I get up every day. And I know Chad has similar thoughts. So, and like you said, we want people to be here for a long time, not just a good time. So
Yeah.
Yeah. we
Right?
do.
100%. I love
taking
it.
That's
care of your
great.
health is definitely a top priority. And yeah, definitely one of my main focuses for 2025 too.
So
Mhm.
sign up for the webinar, and then if anybody wants to get in contact with you guys, where would they go to get with you?
Alec Cheplak, ALEC, last name CHEPLAK. That's my Facebook. Shannon Cheplak. Where's this Shannon?
Oh, you know what? We could tag it in the comments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally fine.
Just tag us.
Yeah, if you just want to follow our content, go on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you sign up for the free webinar, you're also going to get our free advice emails and stuff. So if you want free advice sent to you, just opt into that, dude. You could show
Yeah.
up to the webinar. Cool. We'd love to see you there. If not, we'll still send you free advice emails and support you
You're
along.
still gonna hear from us.
So we got your
And
back.
that's tomorrow it's 1 Eastern. I know you guys are.
Yeah. So December 28th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we are hosting the Get Fit and Stay Fit in 2025 free webinar.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
All
We're
right.
going to get to, unlike this, which was much more of like flowing and conversational, we're giving you the step-by-step process, the exact step-by-step
Yep.
of what to do, how to do, when to do, and why to do.
Yep.
So,
Mhm.
yep.
And that's
Appreciate
what I love about you guys and the contribution, like I mentioned, because when I've seen you on stage, it's all about, here's exactly what you need to do. Go do it. Here's everything. Here's the blueprint. If you want us to help you on your journey, sign on up.
Yeah, like we literally give all our best stuff away for free. Our clients are like, oh, that looks familiar.
Yeah.
Like,
Make
yeah,
it easier, right? Because when they come
yeah,
in, they already know the things that you want
they
to
already
tell
know
them,
what
right?
we expect. Yeah.
It's like when we're with our real estate coaches, Chad. It's like you think there's something different that they're sharing, but it's like just those constant little reminders daily is what moves the needle. So it's
And
awesome.
we all need reminded, that's for sure.
Yeah. 100%.
Um,
I agree.
well, thank you guys so much for jumping on here and pouring into to our community here and everybody that's that's watching. So thanks again. We'll see you around here soon. So thanks for tuning
Thank you
in.
so much,
See you
guys.
tomorrow. See you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
go.
let's go.